Hello, everyone. Welcome to day number 8. Yes, day number 8 already of our Cybersecurity Awareness Month series. So, before we jump into our topic, I want to cover we are doing a three-part webinar starting next week through the end of October. A lot of content in there specifically for businesses. First day, we're doing a very comprehensive coverage of cybersecurity, kind of an overview, kind of what the top 10, 15 things that are happening today in terms of where all the risk is. Second week, we are doing a kind of a review of Q&A. We're going to further a little bit about standards and kind of bring together and cement up everything we talked about in the first one. And then we're offering you the opportunity to do a mini cybersecurity assessment. It's not very in depth, but it's going to be a great litmus test as to where your company is in terms of cybersecurity. So really, really valuable. And then the third day, which is the cool week to be on the webinar, I guess, and that is we are doing live hacking demo. I've done them in person before. It's the first time we've ever done them virtually. It's going to be a lot of fun. It always is. We always have a blast, and because we got to laugh, or otherwise we're going to cry when you see how easy it is for someone to gain remote control and command of a computer. So join us for that. Sign up down below. There's no charge. And we got some really cool prizes in there too. They're really valuable on the cybersecurity side for small businesses. So hope to see you there. So let's get into today's topic, which is pretty huge in and of itself. I could probably do 8 hours on this topic without a whole lot of prep. And that is why it's important to basically patch systems. I mean, I worded it as relevance, is patching relevance still a thing? Absolutely, yes. You betcha. Probably now more important than ever. The reason behind that is we have a lot more security patching going on today. We have a lot more at risk as most of our business processes are sitting on top of these computer systems. They need to work. They need to be up. They need to be patched to keep us secure, to make sure that they're up and working. So the relevance is really, yes, absolutely. But here's the deal. If you don't have a managed service provider or someone looking after your machines for you, you're kind of relying probably on Windows updates to make sure that they're doing their thing. And the thing is, they don't always do that. We spend a lot of money on third-party tools to manage patches exactly for that reason. We can't rely on Windows to patch itself. And honestly, to do it manually is just so time-consuming. We have so much better things to do with our time. So we gladly pay the fees for that patch software. And that's just going to give us notifications when patches don't go as planned or there's an issue or something like that. Those are not notifications you're normally going to get. And we've been spoiled. Windows 10, Windows 10, Android, iOS, all of these pretty much come standard with patching enabled when you get it out of the box. So we've kind of been spoiled by that, and we might not be looking to see if something's failed, and they're not always going to tell us. So it's very important to make sure that things are patched. Now, there's something called a 0 day. 0 day is an industry term, and it really means it's a vulnerability in something that doesn't have a fix yet. So it's much like coronavirus right now. COVID-19, we know it's a problem, but we don't really have a fix for it. We have better ways as time went on of treating it. We understand treatment plans better, but we really don't have anything that stops it from happening in the first place. So very strong, strong relevance to why we keep things patched. Patched is kind of like an inoculation that works. So in saying that, let's talk about something that's very relevant, very recent. Windows Server, Microsoft just released a patch for Windows Server. This vulnerability has been in Windows Server for a very long time, decade or more, where if you sent a piece of code could actually execute against the server and get elevated privileges, meaning administrative rights. So you know, it's kind of important that that would be applied, especially once the patch came out, because now all the bad guys know about it. So they can, they're fairly agile. They're going to put things together really quickly, but they're also counting on people not patching their stuff or being not aware that their stuff's not patched. So there's always a market for them. And if you know how we know that is because in cyber world, we see exploits being used that are years old on systems that should have been patched. Equifax comes to mind. I mean, that whole debacle was pretty much around something similar where something wasn't patched and up to date, and it allowed something to happen on the back end, which ended up in one of the largest breaches in history. So, is patching relevant and important? You betcha, 100%. So, keep that stuff patched. If you're not working with a provider that takes care of it for you, the best thing to do is just to take a day, one day of the month. Probably if you're Microsoft centric, somewhere in the middle of the month. We used to have something called Patch Tuesday, which was the second Tuesday of the month. The patches were always released. They've kind of officially gone away from that. Unofficially, they're kind of still sticking to it for some reason. But if you choose a day after the midpoint of the month, you're probably going to be pretty safe in terms of checking up on your patches to make sure that they're done. And anything that isn't doing automatic updates, make sure it does do automatic updates. And especially on Microsoft, also check the box that says check for other things that it can patch as well. So make sure everything comes through. And then, so that's your operating system, but you also have to make sure your applications are up to date, and as well as your plugins and your browsers. Chrome does a pretty good job. Firefox does almost as good job of keeping itself updated, but those two can get stuck. So make sure that those are updated. And even more important to that are your plugins. So any plugins that you use for your browsers, add-ons, extensions, etc., whatever the theme is and the type of browser that you use, any third party that's running on there, you want to make sure that those are patched all the time. You're just constantly consuming web content with your machine. So those plugins, just for your information, unless you explicitly say you don't want them to have access, they have access to everything that you're downloading, including your bank account, including your insurance plans, including your access to your savings accounts, et cetera, et cetera. So you want to make sure that all that stuff is patched and up to date at all times. So very relevant, very important. I could go on for days and days probably now. I'm thinking about it in all the different ways that this is relevant to keeping things patched. But I want to keep us on the rails and down to time. And honestly, we're going to be reviewing a lot of the things that are around the patching, such as why home networks are so dangerous. And part of it is the patching and the inability to patch certain things. We're going to be covering that pretty shortly in the series. So hope to see you there. And until then, make sure you schedule some time to get those devices patched, and we'll see you next time around. Have a great day. Bye-bye.